Hey there everyone, welcome back to the Dan Cave and welcome to another video build. And this time it's back with some armour. And it's the Airfix 135th Ferret Scout car thing. You can tell I'm a specialist in armour subjects. So, Airfix released this a couple of years back and weirdly I was rather excited to see it because I remembered in the vague depths of my memory, I remembered a little piece of trivia. So, back in the 1960s, Irish army troops were deployed to the Congo as part of a UN mission, peacekeeping force. And I vaguely remember a story that they were basically loaned some Ferret Scout cars to use as vehicles when they were on deployment. So digging into that a little bit more, once I heard the Scout was coming out, that was in fact correct. So there was 12 of them loaned, basically taken straight off the production line, probably originally targeted for the British Army, and were sent over to the Congo and left in their original bronze green, but with some UN liveries put on it. Not in the standard kind of UN white scheme, just the UN flag was basically placed on them, so they're still in the green. So I was inspired when it was available. I bought one, and that was always the target build, and that's basically what I've put together, and with a little bit of a vignette and some figures as well. So there we go. That's what this build is going to be about. So I claim to profess no expertise in armour, no specialism in armour, but hopefully you'll see this build has kind of caught my attention and I've quite enjoyed it. So let's head on over to the bench and let's see how this build has gone together. I'll be back at the end for some final thoughts. And of course, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like the video, and feel free to leave a comment down below. So yeah, I'll be back at the end. See you in a little bit. So this is the Ferret Scout car in 35th scale from Airfix. So as I mentioned before, it kind of caught my attention. It's going to be done as a loaned vehicle to the Irish Army for their 1960s deployment to the Congo, or at least an interpretation of it. So I'm in no way an armour specialist, so I can't really say what this is. Kind of a typical construction. There is a nice little bit of interior. That's kind of the starting place, probably similar to a cockpit of an aircraft. So I'm going to work on the interior, build it up, get it painted. I haven't decided at this stage how I'm going to leave some of the hatches, so some of the interior may be visible. If I leave some of the hatches closed, it may not. But however, I'm going to paint it up anyway, on the assumption that some of it will be visible anyway. So it's all kind of the usual kind of construction at this stage. Just focusing on the interior parts, using Tamiya extra thin, with the standard parts removed from the sprue. There's also a little bit of mock-up just to see how the external parts are going to wrap around, give me some idea of how I'm going to build this up. And I start all the cleanup on all the panels as well anyway, because some of these will have some interior colour paint as well. And then it's over to the spray booth, begin the priming phase, and everything is primed in UMP black primer through the UMP Apex airbrush at about 30 psi, 25-30 psi. So once everything is primed, it's a nice dull aluminium colour I'm going to use for the interior. There are some radio boxes, which I'm trying the Humbrol green paint for. And then a little bit of detail painting on the front of that, as per the reference pictures. A few other bits and pieces on the interior, the seats, etc. And I can build up the cab completely using some Tamiya extra thin once again. So obviously on the mating surfaces, try and remove any excess paint. It'll give a much stronger bond between the plastic parts. So once the interior has been done, this builds up really, really quickly. I know a few people have complained about the fit of this. I found the fit to be generally okay. Again, I can't really comment on the accuracy of the kit because it's not really my specialist area. But from the reference pictures I had, it looked absolutely fine. So one thing I did add was using some Tamiya 2-part epoxy putty. I've added some weld lines along some of the major areas. And then things like the wheels are built up, or wheel axles and suspension, etc. All of those things are built up, and then the actual wheel covers are added as well, again with Tamiya Extra Thin as the adhesive of choice. And as you can see, the vehicle is beginning to take shape to build up that familiar form of the Ferret Scout car. So the wheels, which will be left off at this stage for separate painting, they're cleaned up and, as you can imagine, glued together once again with some Tamiya Extra Thin. So there's a little bit of cleanup of the sprue attachment points. They're not fully sanded down until the two halves are glued together. I just separate them a little bit and rely on the capillary action for that glue to flow all the way around. And that's what it does. So with everything built up, it's time to get over and put down some primer. So for the exterior parts, I'm using UMP grey primer. Applying probably 2 to 3 coats. Make sure you get in around all the awkward little angle areas. And of course, I've masked off any of the hatching areas as well, so I get no paint on the interior. Again, I still haven't decided on how the hatches are going to be left. But as I said, about 2, maybe 3 coats of UMP grey to give me some full coverage. So once that's cured for a reasonable amount of time, probably about 12 hours, it's then back in with bronze green, and I'm using Revell Aqua acrylic paint, which has been thinned with UMP thinner. And again, laying down 2 to 3 reasonable coats to build up that nice bronze green colour. Now, I tried spraying the Humbrol paint through the airbrush. It's absolutely rubbish. Rubbish. The acrylic paints from Humbrol are absolutely terrible. So I went back to using my trusty Revells. So once the green has completely cured, I'm just painting in some of the details, painting silver on the back of the spot lamps and probably silver on the back of the headlights as well. And as you can see, the UN insignia and the number plate have been added. So once that's all nicely cured, it's time to add some chipping. So I'm using dark iron from Tamiya's X range, so their enamel range, just to add a little bit of chipping in and around the exterior edges of the vehicle. So this is not going to be heavily weathered. It's basically trying to give it a look as if it's been used for maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of months in the Congo. A little bit of wear around some of the kind of key exposed areas, in and around some of the hatch covers, etc. And once I'm happy with that dark iron, I'm going to paint the exhaust as well. So using the rust color set from Mk2, just to brush paint in those rust colors. Again, exhausts tend to rust very, very quickly because obviously they're exposed to a lot of heat cycles. A little bit more brush painting on some of the exterior tools. As you can see, this is beginning to take shape. So it's been over to the spray booth and it's been gloss coated, all in preparation for some weathering, some further weathering. But before I do that further weathering, I'm going to start adding the hatches. And I have decided they're going to be left partially open. There's not going to be a huge amount of visibility inside the cab, so I probably could have left that unpainted. But nonetheless, I know it's in there anyway. So wheels are added at this stage because I want to add the weathering in one kind of unified weathering scheme. And I'm starting off with a dark wash from Mk2, which is an enamel wash. Just allowing that to run into any of the panel lines and into any of the recesses. And that's going to be the foundation of the weathering for this vehicle. And that's really not, it's not adding dirt, it's more adding just a little bit of depth. And wherever that's placed, any of the excess will be removed using some odorless mineral spirits. So Sansadora is the one of choice I'm using. And just using a white brush just to move around any of the excess, and then using a cotton bud just to wipe back any of the excess material completely. So really all you're left with is any of the recessed areas with a wash in there. So once that's cured, I'm using Make Ammo, one of their mods. I think it's thick soil, I think is the mod I'm using. So I'm using that in and around the wheels, in and around the underside. Again, just to cover any areas where mud would have splashed, got trapped in. And that's just mainly going to be around the underside of the vehicle. Again, a lot of the excess will be removed as well. Just trying to get it onto the areas where I think we're going to have some mud to be on show. So some light dust wash is used as well. So that's used just to blend some of those areas into some of the upper parts. And then using some odorless mineral spirits just to remove any of the excess and blend in exactly where I want that to sit. And as you can see, a huge amount of what went on in the first place has actually come off again. So really I've wanted that mud to basically get caked into recessed parts in and around the running gear, the treads of the tires, in around the wheels. But ultimately, most of that mud has been removed. So I'm now adding some light dust wash. I think I'm using some dry step as well, just to add a little bit of a filter here and there, just add a little bit more dust staining around the upper parts of the vehicle. Again, the overall kind of look I'm aiming for is not overly dirty, obviously dirtier on the underside, a little bit built up mud, but not really spreading up to the upper sides of the vehicle. So I'm using some light dust pigment as well, just to, again, sit in a few areas on the top side. And that's just adding a little bit more variation and depth of the kind of mud and dust effects. Once I'm happy with where I've put those pigments, I'm using a little bit of pigment fixer just to basically bind them in place. And then I'm using some more odorless mineral spirits just around the bottom edges of the vehicle. Again, just to emphasize where that mud will stick and where it won't stick. Tires are getting a little bit more added work. As you can see on the spare wheel, I've added mud at the bottom of the spare wheel because obviously the spare wheel will just sit in place. So I'm now using some oil washes as well. So I'm using some, again, I think it's a dust oil wash in one of Mig Ammo's oil brushers. Again, that's just to add a little bit of variation and tone to some of the upper panels, a little bit of dust streaking, but not a very dramatic effect, just a very subtle effect on the top side. Again, the predominant color that I want to show through is that original bronze green. So once I'm happy with that, it's back over to the spray booth to basically settle all that down with a matte varnish coat from Winsor Newton Galleria, their acrylic matte varnish. So coming back to this a few months later, I'm just trying to figure out a little bit of a scene where I can basically place the vehicle and a couple of figures. So I'm using some foam and some hot glue just to build up a little bit of structure. And then I'm using some mud effect with a brush, basically to build up a base in and around where I want the vehicle to sit. This won't be the final color. I'm just using the mud basically to give the texture. This will all get airbrushed again anyway into a much more appropriate color that will match the mud on the vehicle itself. So while that's all curing, it's time to do a little bit of work on the figures. There's a little bit of filling needed just to fill in anywhere where the parts have been added and glued together. Once that's dry and been primed, it's on to a little bit of brush painting You can see the various shades of green that I've chosen, various shades of flesh tones as well, and then some detailed brush painting on the arm for the insignias, including the shamrock itself. So I'm quite pleased with how these figures have gone together. So back to the base itself, I'm using various rocks and stones to add that element of texture and rock, etc., just to build it up. All of those are going to be cured in place with some diluted PVA, just dropping out of that out of a pipette. That will soak into it, that'll act as a nice adhesive. Just accelerating the gluing process using a hot air gun. And I've got my basic kind of shape of where I want the vehicle to sit. And then, of course, once that's fully cured, accelerated and a little bit of natural, I've got some foliage, a little bit of shrubbery just to add in as well. Again, the green here is not going to be the final colour. This is all going to be airbrushed separately. There's some pigments added as well, just to add a little bit of kind of under texture, because again, the paint coat that's going to go across the top, I'll use the pigments for a little bit of tonal variation. And this is how it's come out. So it was basically oversprayed with some, I think, some ammo make sand. And I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to place those figures, and they're going to be just like this. And using a little bit of double-sided tape to stick them in place. And this is the final scene that I've put together with the Airfix 135th Ferret Scout car. So I'm very pleased with how this has come out. For me, this feels like a nice little tribute to the Irish soldiers that fought in the Congo in the 1960s. So thanks for watching. Let's head back to me for some final thoughts. So there we have it. There's my 135th Irish Army loaned Ferret Scout with two figures on a little bit of a base. Just to, I guess, give my little bit of a nod to Irish Army service in the Congo back in the 60s. So yeah, so I quite enjoyed it. Building the kit itself went together quite straightforward. Building the little kind of base and vignette for it to go on took me a little bit longer, and I didn't get to finish that until Telford last year, so November 2025. But I still think it all came together. I'm happy with the final outcome. The figures they're not actual Irish Army figures. There's some I found online in a box. A couple of figures that looked vaguely what I wanted. One, kind of mechanic-y in a string vest, and the other one, an actual NCO, I think I've got him down as a sergeant, and a little bit of kind of detailed painting just to, again, show the Irish Army insignia as used in the Congo itself with the arm flash thing. So, vehicle itself. So I think, as I mentioned, the registration is the one that came in the kit. Few and far between reference pictures. I did have a reference picture with a number plate. I wasn't overly bothered about the accuracy. This is just my little nod, and yeah, I'm absolutely pleased with how this has come out. Quite happy with the weathering's done, kept it relatively clean. More just kind of how the dirt is built up from the bottom coming up, so it's not completely caked in mud, or because it would have been relatively dry in the Congo, my assumption anyway. So a little bit of dust and dirt and more to kind of stick to the vehicle. So there we go. There's my build of it. I'm happy with it. I hope you've enjoyed the video as well. If you have, please like the video. Feel free to subscribe to the channel as well if you're not a subscriber. Feel free to leave a comment, and I'll be back in another video very, very soon. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye for now. Bye.